Thank you guys so much for coming and supporting me. Like, really, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Watching you guys play this game, it's really fun. I love every single one of you guys, like, genuinely. So I know you guys probably have similar feelings out there. It feels like after watching these guys for hours and hours and hours and hours, thumbs up, number ones, dropping twos, amens here, it just seems like we have so much love that I couldn't resist but bringing these guys on one last time to close us out, because I have a feeling that these are the reason why we're here, right? We come for each other. We come to grow, to learn, to share, but also to network and to experience. So I think this is a great time to open it up to you guys, and especially I have some questions as well that we'll ask, but regarding questions that you have about their journey and their struggles and the road for an influencer, I want to start out with Jesse. This question will start out with Jesse because you're the newest influencer on the roadmap here. And I've been watching you since the beginning, since I got to meet you at VRIC, and it's been really an honor to be able to get to know you and hang out with you. And I see your passion, and we all know where that comes from. But what I really want to ask you is, what kind of things do you do to draw on to get your information and content? So what kind of things inspire you throughout your day that decide the content you're going to be creating that day?
Boy, that's a great question. Well, I would have to say I got sucked into this through Travis, and I'll repeat one of the things that he told me early on is he never reads his articles before he goes live, that it's something that he chooses to do on the fly, and maybe that's why the reactions at times feel confident, because it's new information or you're seeing that particular article for the first time. So for me, I've kind of adapted with, instead of reading a significant amount of headlines and taking the ones that I like, and I'll speak on those and how I tie them to, for me, Scripture.
I have a really weird one because I see you guys kind of skirting this conversation all the time. How not to get censored, what not to say. Ninja, I thought, was done with YouTube. I thought he was like gone, right? He called me. My YouTube, they're throttling me. I'm done. Yeah. That's it. He went to X. A day later, thousands of views a second again. It just, it seems like they want to scare you out of it, but then they don't. To break it down for me, what are the struggles? Because I'm afraid to say the word gun on my show.
Well, was this for you?
No, it's you.
It was me.
I'm starting with you because this whole core weave thing.
We're expecting you to
that was a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm the wrong guy to ask this question because I got a big mouth. I'm going to get myself in trouble again. I mean, it's just been like that since I was a kid. You can skirt around it. You have to be careful, and it's terrible and it stinks, but you can't say gun. You can't say firearm, but I can say I like to stack metal. I like gold, I like silver, and I like lead. And it's implied, right? And maybe I do just have lead bricks in my house. I don't recommend that. It's highly carcinogenic. But, you have to speak in code. I don't talk about the World Economic Forum directly anymore because I noticed every time I mention the World Economic Forum, I go back and I look at my Google Analytics. It tells me how much of you guys are watching. I notice my views drop off. But it's not people clicking off. It's YouTube stops bringing in new people. They stop showing me. So the only people who see my videos after I talk about the World Economic Forum are people who are already subscribed to my channel. So if I say the FEW backwards, wink, wink, hint, hint, people know what I'm talking about. I don't get censored. So you have to speak in code, and it's unfortunate, but it's where we live. And there's other platforms. I put all my videos on X, Twitter, silly rebrand, but it is what it is. I put all my videos up there. That's my hedge against getting banned. But the truth is, YouTube is the only platform with any significant monetization at this point. So it's necessary in this space. You have to play by their rules. It's their platform. And if you don't have a platform anymore, and your message doesn't get out. And if your message doesn't get out, you can't help anyone, and you don't have a channel anymore. And it's time to go start 9 to 5 again. I don't want to do that. So.
Yeah. I see a lot of things in my future, but a 9 to 5 isn't one of them. Ninja, you've had this experience too. Rumble, X, 9 to 5s, 10 to 10s.
Did you see that one where so the day that I thought everything was done, I came home to my wife, true story, I'm like, it's done. Today's the day. This is why I didn't quit the firefighter job. Getting banned, and views went to nothing. All of my analytics showed no views. And I showed up with a 12 gauge in one of my videos. Did you see that one? Johnny's texting me at the same, don't do that, put it away. And I'm like, I'm done. If I'm going out with a blaze of glory. I like guns. I kid you not. And so I pulled up, and then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you, why the heck am I so afraid? And so I thought about it, and me and my son have been talking about it and saying, we need to start doing, because I've put all my family through really, really good firearms training, tactical firearms training, to where my son is so darn fast. The school that he used to go to, Front Sight, there's not one instructor that could beat him. And I'm like, let's start making some really good safety, minded, drills, videos and stuff. I'm like, let's push that button a little bit, because I think I'll just be the one to do it, because I've got to stretch myself a little bit. But it is very scary, because like that day it showed nothing, and then ironically the next day it showed record views for the channel. Never seen that many views. So I'm not afraid of it, but yeah, I would be bummed if all of a sudden I couldn't share whatever I'm sharing. I still don't know every day, because I do enjoy this. It's a lot to take in, to meet all of you guys and take photos and hear nice things about me. That's really actually hard, because I grew up not hearing nice things. Yeah, I don't know. I'm right on the fence line if I'm just going to go big or stay home, I guess.
Have you ever considered making a firearms ninja show?
That's what we're talking about doing right now. Yeah, because I do have a real
economic
passion for
ninja, real estate ninja.
Yeah.
You have a third brother, right? Third
Yeah.
twin, firearm ninja.
Oh, that'd be sweet. Oh my gosh, and he's the outcast. Oh, shabobo. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not suggesting that they're already in love with the show, but I think it's kind of got something to
Just
it.
have, straw hat and something sticking out of my mouth. Hey, what's up,
Take
man?
you down to Arizona, we'll go out with Spartan Shooter and go down there. So, Joe, next question, I did get one already that's coming in, and it kind of brings me back to you. We really resonate on this topic of family. It's really important to me, and I know for a lot of us it's a big deal. Vegas is not the place for families. It's just not. Vegas is not a place I want to bring my kids either. I'm sorry. You brought your kids here, and I know. but wait, this is important because
this is a good answer, though. I know your answer.
You brought your kids here, but the difference is you didn't partake. You became the salt of the earth, right? Yeah. We did things here differently. We can go into places where traditionally we're unwelcome and change. We can still make impacts, even in Vegas. Here in Vegas, your kids experienced something different. They didn't see the bad parts of Vegas. They experienced the fun parts with their dad and their family. And for me, I want to ask you a question. As a young influencer with family and kids, help me understand what that looks like for your family life, and what kind of sacrifices does your family make for you to be able to get to do what you do for us?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was a lot more. So I was a stockbroker. I was making good money, and every morning I woke up and I felt, I wouldn't say depressed, but I was miserable. And I had one of those leather laptop bags in my closet. And every morning I looked up at that leather bag, and I thought to myself, someday I'll work for myself and I'll use that to carry my laptop into my own office, and then I feel miserable again because I have to get in my car and the commute to work, and you plan out when you're gonna go on your breaks, and I'm making the 200 cold calls a day, and so it got to a point where my wife is fantastic. I know a lot of people that wouldn't have been able to make the jump that I did because it can be scary for some people. But she was just like, you're miserable, and if you fail at doing your own thing, then you can always just go get another job again. And so at the time my kids were, I don't know, I think they were 3 and 4. And so I quit, and obviously in hindsight it worked. But I think that was the biggest sacrifice from my wife, was just the potential of, hey, we have no income, and then we run out. We get to the end of the runway. And then what if something happens, like obviously I wasn't thinking, you know, oh, there might not be any jobs available because something like COVID could happen. You know, I wasn't thinking about that. And so, you know, anything could have happened, and that was the biggest sacrifice. But to be honest, I feel a little bit bad, a little bit guilty, but it's like I get more time with my family than anybody I know, like by a huge margin. And you know, there's a culture there in entrepreneurship, business owners. There's like a hustle culture, and I almost feel guilty because I don't put the hours in anymore. I did in the beginning. It was very difficult to get started. It was, you know, 60, 80 hours. It was planning, researching, filming, editing, nights, weekends, but now it's very different. And so there's always a trade-off. There's always a sacrifice. So right now, the priority is making sure that I spend the time with the family, because I heard this the other day. In 20 years, the only person who will remember you worked late is your kids.
Now you guys get what I'm talking about? Because I remember I asked Joe this question as well, and I asked him, how do you prioritize family the right way? And I remember his answer. He said, I don't prioritize them 1 week and this week there. I prioritize them every day. They're my priority first every day, and then everything else fills in around that. And that's one of the things that led me to Joe and just actually loving who he is, because these guys as fathers is probably the sexiest thing that I know about them, honestly. Because, no, that's the reality, honestly.
Got
What?
weird.
Hey, I already said I am happily married. So happily married. But I can appreciate it.
How do you feel on Father's Day? I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
I don't know. Do you?
Just really
I don't know. I feel like my kids love me. I'm pretty happy on Father's Day.
When a bunch of buddies get on the same stage, it's going to get really weird.
Yeah, we're not going to try to get a bromance here, but
Yeah.
we're a little past that. But the reality is, like, when we have this conversation, it's hard to look past the influencer. It's hard to see past just a show that they're doing, the like, share, subscribe. You know, I guess this is my time to say, you guys have a lot of family out here. And what I do want to ask is, like, I hope you guys are taking time. If you guys are the praying people, these guys come under some pretty intense attacks that I've seen personally. I was there when he called me and said, get on, spread the word, help get this out. They're throttling me, you know? We have to watch for each other's backs, guys. This is a community, this is a family. And one thing that I know unequivocally is I've talked to each one of you, and your wives are such a huge part of what you guys do and your success. I mean, clearly. Family, faith, it's important to us. So what I want to do, I want to end up with just a couple of comments and questions from the people who came for you guys as we finish it up. So, we're not too bad on time. We're doing good. Yes, for once. Questions. First question is back all the way in the corner. I got it.
He's doing some good.
I'm Karen Shea. Do you think a central bank digital currency is possible, as the exclusive form of currency, is possible without cracking down or legalizing all the illegal immigrants?
Who's that for? Who's that video?
Who was that one for?
Moss?
Who's it for, Patrick?
Who was your question for? Well, I guess I would probably kick that to Joe. Joe, I want to hear you answer that question. Yeah, because honestly, if I was watching a YouTube, I'd want Joe to answer it. So.
And can you clarify the last part of the question?
So CBDCs being used to implement statuses of immigrations and forwarding that. I'll let you ask it one more time in case I messed it up.
Is it possible to have a CBD as the only currency in the U.S. without either legalizing or totally cracking down on illegal immigrants?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we're definitely going to be getting, not definitely, we're probably going to be getting a form of a central bank digital currency. And so here's what it is. Right now you have a bank account at your bank. A CBDC is you have a bank account at the Fed. That's it. And everybody does, every business and every individual. So that means you no longer have 2, 10, 100 different bank accounts. Every individual and every business has one account at the Federal Reserve. All transactions just happen on their balance sheet then instead of in between banks. And so if you're an illegal immigrant, or if you're a legal immigrant or anybody, you also, if you want to do any transactions, you have an account with the only bank that exists, which is the central bank, the Federal Reserve. And so in doing that, there's identification that's going to be required, whether that's a social security number or something else, a scan on the eyeball or a mark on the forehead or the hand, but some sort of identification in order to do any business. And if you don't have a central bank digital currency wallet, an account with the Fed, then you have no way to receive payments or to send payments.
Yeah, and banks actually love illegal immigrants. I remember when I had a Bank of America account, I was getting upset that I had to give them, when I was calling them, my social security number all the time. And my buddy, runs a construction company with a lot of guys from Mexico that are friends of mine, and they're not legal, and they've got Bank of America accounts. He goes, hey, tell them ask them what happens when you're from Mexico and you're not illegal. And I was fired up, and I asked them that. I said, do I have to give you my social security number if I'm from, another country? They go, oh, no, that's a whole different, and it actually, in the telephone tree, it said, are you a U.S. citizen, all that stuff, and then it would run you down the algorithm if you're not. So banks love that. So Joe's absolutely right. This is going to be a real smooth, seamless thing. I mean, think about it. This is a great set of voters for a lot of politicians out there. So yeah, it's going to be pretty seamless.
What a great question. Next question out there. Got one right back here. Here we go.
So my question is, how do you think they're going to destroy the dollar, and about what time frame do you think that'll happen?
Do you have someone that you really want to answer that question? Any of them or all of them? Okay. I'll let you guys pick.
All right, I'll do it. Money is created when it's loaned, right? When you pull out a loan. So what are they doing right now? They're raising up rates. They're tightening policy. The higher interest rates go, the less people get loans. We all of a sudden see a velocity of money slow down drastically. As a matter of fact, with the M2 money supply shrinking right now, it's historic what's happening in the currency markets. So there's not a one-day event. I know we're having a little bit of a blow-off top. I'm curious what you guys think about how high it's going to go, but we're looking at the Dixie. I mean, it's compared to the euro and a handful of other currencies that are they're weaker. I mean, the dollar makes sense that it's stronger, but it's not going to be them destroying it, And I want people to understand this. The dollar's not going away, whether it be in digital form, CBDC. There's going to be a currency. We're not going to a barter system. Will barter increase? Yeah, maybe, but really it's not functional in this type of environment because, you don't always have what someone else has that you want. It's just like that. But yeah, that's how I believe it's just rapidly happening. And I think in 2024 it's going to happen even faster, especially as currencies like, or Japan falls even more, and countries like Japan are going to have to sell their dollars. And so if there's nobody to buy those dollars, they're going to have to come back here, and that will hurt it.
I would just add a little bit to that. On the death of the dollar, it's not automatic. Let's not assume that the dollar is dying, because right now, on the course that we're currently on, if nothing changes, the dollar will become so strong that it will destroy everything else. That's the deflationary path that we're currently on. Debt is getting more expensive, and we have a mountain of debt, and there is not enough cash in the world to pay and service that debt. So unless trillions more dollars is whatever they do into existence, that debt is going to become unsustainable, and everybody has debt. Everybody's got mortgages, car loans, credit cards, student loans. Everybody is competing for the same dollars to service their debt, and there's not enough dollars available, which means the price of the dollars is going up. And it hasn't happened since the 1930s, and we're all assuming that they're going to turn the money printers back on, and that is what they have done for the last several times. But if they don't, the dollar doesn't die, everything else dies. And it's not necessarily carved in stone that that's what they'll do. Maybe they will. This is the second time at this conference I've referenced this book, The Great Taking by David Rogers Webb. He paints a scenario where if they don't do that, what happens? They take everything. The banks end up owning all of it. So don't automatically assume the dollar is dying. That fork is still ahead of us in the road, and we don't know which path they're going to choose. So have a plan for either scenario.
Yeah, I'd like to add something, how crazy it is to be sitting up here right now. I guess we could talk about all the economic stuff. I just have to share something that as I'm sitting up here and we listen and we receive these type of questions specifically now, these are the men that I'm still learning from. Anyone still learning from them? Well, it's a fantastic thing to observe from this time last year sitting here to sitting here and understanding vastly more. Does anyone understand more this year than they did last year?
Amen.
I mean, this is a powerful thing, and this is the wisdom that you guys have come to locate. Look who's sitting here, and this is really cool. And all three of you, it's been fun to watch for at least 2 years.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Right?
I got
I'll
another
be honest
question
with you.
over here.
Patrick, can I have my hand up too? Because I really want to hear Joe's take on that question too.
Oh, yeah, Joe.
I'd really like to hear your take on
Go.
the destruction of the dollar, the
Okay.
binary outcome.
All right, so number one, these things take a lot longer to happen than you would imagine. So what was the first year when people started predicting the real estate market would crash prior to the great financial crisis? Was it
2005.
02 or 01? When people started warning about it?
I'd never heard of one warning before 2005. Because 2005, the beginning, is right when the mortgage-backed securities started to fail.
Peter Schiff was talking about it in 03.
Okay.
So at least a couple years. So these things take a lot longer to unfold. And even if 05 is the first year,
That's a long time.
it takes a long time for these things to unfold than you would imagine. So we look back at history. A great book is When Money Dies by Adam Ferguson. You read this and you think like, oh, the collapse of the Mark and the Weimar Republic in Germany, you think like, oh, it happened overnight. Well, it's like, no, it takes years for these things to unfold. So that's the first thing. The second thing is right now, we have anywhere between 60 to 100 trillion dollars in dollar-denominated debt all around the world. So the $1 trillion in U.S. credit card debt here is big. $100 trillion in dollar debt around the world is a lot bigger. A lot of that is overnight debt, meaning it's constantly getting rolled over every couple of days. And so what do you need to get if you need to pay off dollar-denominated debt? Dollars. And so intentionally or not, the U.S. government has done a really great job of solidifying demand for the dollar all around the world by this enslavement to dollar debt everywhere. And so people and countries and nations and institutions have to get dollars to service that debt. And so right now that's putting a lot of upward pressure on the value of the dollar versus everything else, like Jack mentioned. And that's not going away anytime soon. And if you get defaults starting there, that doesn't make the dollar go down. That makes the dollar skyrocket, because every single time one person defaults, that means the next person can't get the money that they thought that they were going to get. And so we do have a lot of built-in demand for the dollar around the world. And so I don't anticipate anything happening like this soon. The third thing, the only source of power a government has is purchasing power. Because at the end of the day, they have to pay people to enforce the laws that they want enforced. And they do that by paying you. And so they know if the dollar fails through a deflationary death spiral or hyperinflation, the government loses all of its power. And that's the last thing they want to happen. And so they do want to extract as much from everybody as possible, with the exception that they don't want to go too far to make the dollar actually fail. I don't think they'll succeed in that long term, but it'll probably take longer than most of us would like.
Was that sufficient, Jack?
A-okay.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, this is a change from an economics question, but as you all produce your videos, can you give, I know Ninja and Joe Brown have very different styles of videos. And can you give us just a summary of each of you, how you come up with a concept, create the video, if there's editing, what you do, then final cut, and what we all see, and how that's created? Thank you.
Which one of you guys wants to start?
I'll start filming.
All right, I'll go first. I'll start with the DD phase, the research. Some days I'm lucky enough a story falls into my lap and I can just crank out a video. I already know based on what's happening I can do a video on this. That saves me time. Some days I read articles until I feel like my eyes are going to bleed and I find nothing to talk about. So 2 to 8 hours of research, set up the shot, set up my green screen, my camera shot, everything like that, 15 to 20 minutes. Filming anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes. Editing, editing 2 to 4 hours, a thumbnail 15 to 20 minutes, typing a description, tags, all the search engine optimization, about another 15 minutes. The premiere takes about 15 minutes, and then I spend the next few hours trying to answer as many comments as possible. So anywhere from 6 to 13 hours for about a 15-minute video. Go ahead, Travis.
No, you go. Yes, go ahead.
Hey, here's what I know before Joe answers. This is month 8 for me, and I've almost quit 4 times. This is really a totally different experience here. There's a massive amount of accountability, and I'm stewarding this, right? Think about how the stewardship of this is so important, and just creating this content, it requires a totally different bandwidth. That's right.
Yeah.
Right, Joe. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so I have so much to say about this, but I will be as brief as possible. Number one, how somebody got somewhere is not the same thing they do once they get there. So when you hear what I say about my process right now is not going to be the same as it was in the beginning. So very briefly right now, it's very similar to what Jack said. You're spending a lot of time researching. You're spending a lot of time, like I have a list of notes, like just an outline. Every time I have an idea, like, oh, that could be a video, I throw it on the list. And there's about 100 on there that I will never, ever get to, never make a video about. And then sometimes it's, something happens in the news and it's, you can make a video about it immediately. But most of the time it's figure out the idea, have something related to current events, tie it into something that's a little bit more evergreen that, if somebody looked at this in a year from now or 2 years from now, would it still be interesting? And then planning out how you're going to make the video. And so I have talked to a lot of people this weekend, and I'm sure there are many more of you who are either just getting started with a channel or have the desire to get started with the channel. So here's what I tell everybody, that if I would have done this in the beginning, I would have seen a lot of the growth that I had later on. Once I figured it out, I would have seen it in the beginning. So number one, quality is subjective. You do not know what quality is. There's an audience out there that you don't know who they are and you don't know what they want from you. So the only way to figure that out is through practice and repetitions. So for the next 365 days, you need to make one video every single day, because it would be unreasonable for you to be good at something without practicing and getting good at it.
Come on.
So you have to practice it, you have to get good at it, and that will allow you to discover who your audience is and what they want from you, and it'll give you enough data to look back on and see what worked, what didn't work, and then you double down on what works, get rid of what doesn't work, and then you'll figure out what real quality is and be able to continue doing that. Then you'll have practice to be good. Number two, don't be afraid that anybody will see anything you do bad, because nobody will see it. You suck right now. You should suck. You have never practiced it before. And the algorithm will not put your stuff in front of somebody if you're bad and if you're making something bad, because they don't want somebody to see it and then stop watching stuff on YouTube. So if you make something bad, nobody will see it. And by the time you're making the stuff that's good, people will be watching it and the YouTube algorithm will be pushing it out there. So you never have to worry that you need to be embarrassed about somebody seeing something like that. Number four, title and thumbnail is 50% of what you do. You can make the best content in the world, but if you put it in a package that nobody ever opens it up, it's useless. And so getting somebody to click or somebody to stick or somebody to watch is at least half of what you do. You have to deliver on what you promise. Don't say, I'm going to give you this and then not deliver. You have to deliver, but getting them to at least stick around and open it up is 50% of what you do. And I'll stop there.
Yeah, solid. Super solid.
That was pretty cool. How many of you guys know that Ninja's live right now?
AEIOU. Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you are doing great. Let's turn this camera around right now. These are all of your friends. We are at the Silver Symposium right now, and I was just asked a question on a panel how I make a video. So I thought, why not go live and answer that question real quick? So here's the deal.
The deal is,
When I first-
my name is Patrick Hakeem.
Oh, look. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So let's make this real quick and easy. When I started my channel, I wrote down all of the attributes of everybody that was crushing it on YouTube. I wrote down what they do, what kind of backgrounds they have, what kind of, how they dress, what kind of, animations, what their editing is like. And I made one decision. I said, if I want to beat everybody, and I'm not trying to be cocky, this was literally what I did. I said, I'm going to do the opposite of what everyone does. Number one, I didn't edit. Number two, I didn't change my clothes. Number three, I did crazy things like, live streams and never read ahead of time. Hey, thank you so much, Battle, for the super chat. Hey, look, hey, we're making money. Woo! But my point being is that I wanted to be different. And you want to know why is because the masses are always going one direction. And it's very hard to fight that direction when you're going by yourself. But I'll tell you what, you can really be proud of yourself when you do something different. And right now, there are a lot of people trying to be different in this world by changing the color of their hair or doing things to their body or living a certain way that wants to make them stand out, but it's not helping anyone else, it's only to satisfy them. And if you try your hardest to do something and put out a type of content that will encourage, inspire, or teach someone something, you don't have to be the best looking. You definitely don't have to be really slender. I'm just talking about myself. But you don't have to, you just have to try. And like Joe said, the first set of videos, it's almost like just throwaways, right? And I've met people in this audience that have started subscribing. They're like subscriber number 40, number 100, number 20,000. And they're still here today, and that is amazing. I've been a total wreck. That's why I haven't made a video in 2 days. I'm just letting you know. These guys all know it. I've been a total wreck. But I wanted to sew into everyone that flew in to spend money to come and see us talk. And I'll be back tomorrow. But I wanted to answer that question on that panel. So real quick, say goodbye, everybody. Woo! We are out.
You guys know that was fun. That's like, everyone's like, yeah! We're on live. We're going to watch this all later,
The video's done. It's done. That's how I make a video.
That's
it's
literally...
It's already on your phones. Actually, there are people, Daryl was already doing his thumbs up thing, wherever Daryl is. Yep.
Daryl is on all of the live
a
streams.
bunch
He
of
was
guys
on
were already,
he was on Shielded Prepper's live stream earlier, too. I mean, there are some of you guys that, even like you, Ninja, you said you met Neil for the first time this week.
Who, Neil?
Neil, right? You're a
moderator.
moderator.
Yeah, my moderator. Yeah, and he was only here for one night, and that's why Joe said, you got to get your act together and start really making sure you're here on time, because he was only here for one night. We've never met in person. He's been looking forward to this forever, and I almost broke his heart. And I was like, man, it really...
But the idea is, we have so many people that we know, and we don't even know them. We've never even met them, but we all love each other because we feel like we know each other more than you guys probably believe. More than you probably want to believe. It's
true.
That there's a lot more love out here for you guys than you probably know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the truth.
Real quick, these guys, Jesse's learning more of my style. These guys put out amazing content. They put a ton of time into research, almost to where it bugs the crap. I mean, they put a ton of time and ton of editing and stuff.
Savage stuff.
Well, that's
Yeah, I
cool,
think
though. You can
it's
just
an amazing
shotgun a video like that in 20
exactly.
seconds and get more
but
views.
I did
no,
it this
I'm not
way because I told them both to do it, and I go, I can't do it. It's not my style. We're different. But I wanted to show you that's how easy it is. But you got to get to that point where you just don't care. I misspell words, mispronounce words. I fumble over stuff. But you know what? Honestly, that's what people like, because they want to see people that are like them. But if you want really good info, you go see these guys. And Jesse, if you want to be uplifted in your spirit, you go see Jesse.
Come on.
Everyone has something different. Yeah.
But
so that's what it is.
That's what I meant when I said that there is an audience out there that you have.
Yes.
You don't know who they are yet, and you don't know what they want from you.
True.
So people want something different from you than they want from me, and you have to go out there and you have to discover that.
Yeah.
So you don't need to be like anybody else.
Exactly. That's why I like you. We're
It's
still
a true
friends.
dilemma. That was the one thing, you sit and you follow all you guys and you say, oh yeah, you should start a YouTube channel. And this is Ninja straight up said, I talked to him on the phone. He says, by the time we meet up at VRIC, I want you to have a YouTube channel up with 6 videos uploaded. And will you do that? And I said, yes.
Yeah, you can't
And it
hang-
was horrible.
you can't
I'm
hang
like,
out
what
with
did
me
I
unless you
just
do
say
it.
yes to?
Yeah, you weren't allowed to hang
And
out
it
with
was
us.
one video that turned into 6 that, I don't know, how, a couple hundred now versus a couple thousand, yet this is a process of stewardship for sure and consistency, and that's uncomfortable to do.
Well, remember Chris Taylor? I did that like live.
Yeah.
You want to be a YouTuber? Cool, go make a video right now. And we made him leave. And he wasn't allowed to hang out with us till he came out with a published video on YouTube. He did it in an hour.
He's never told me that.
Yeah, it
That's
happened in
awesome.
Miami at Mark Moss's event. So, and now look at him. He's huge. He's what, 40,000
and
subs.
With that said, I do have to say one thing. You know, this is the Silver Symposium, and I feel like we are missing someone here. It's pretty sad. You guys, I'm going to have to just say this out loud. I'm really bummed David Morgan wasn't here this week. Because you guys, right, can I get an amen to that? David Morgan, like such a stud in our community. And for you guys that don't know, like he's going through some real personal health issues. Like I think he lost his leg below his knee. So he's really going through a lot and he really wanted to be here. But what I can tell you is David Morgan is not going down without a fight. He said if he has to hobble around, he's going to be here. He'll be doing it again. But you know, guys, just please keep David in your thoughts and prayers because Mr. Morgan, I remember last year, I walked into the Silver Symposium. The only slide I saw on there was it said, when Bitcoin dies, silver flies. That guy's smart. You know, and I had a good time to talk with him though because I realized what he was saying. But this was just a time where I just wanted to say, like, sometimes we have people in our space who just add perspective and color and lighten our lives up. And David Morgan is totally one of those guys, and I just am really bummed he's not here, so just wanted to say that out loud. David, we're missing you. If you're watching this, we're bummed you're not here. You would have added a whole lot of flavor, especially to this.
I'll say this, David, before I ever had a YouTube channel, I was nobody. I had his cell phone number and we'd just talk. He is amazing. One of the most amazing.
Yeah, he really takes time out of his day just to make you feel special. So truly a missed presence this weekend. As we wrap it up, I'm going to give a couple more questions. Who's got a question out there? Right back.
This is for Joe. What do you think the probability is that the government will confiscate gold again?
0. Okay, not 0. The
That was
question was,
fast.
what do you think the probability is that the government will confiscate gold again? Executive Order 6102, I'm sure everybody's familiar. FDR confiscated the Americans' gold, made it illegal to own gold. He made it illegal to put the gold clause in debt contracts, which was, hey, you owe me $1,000, but if I want, I can make you repay me in gold instead of dollars. That was to keep a check on the rate of printing of dollars so that if any debt got called in gold, that would mean that people were concerned there were too many dollars floating around out there. So that got outlawed as well. Nobody went door to door and took people's gold. Now that was because everybody's gold was already in the bank, and they did go bank to bank, but they didn't go door to door, number one. Number two, back then, everybody had a decent ownership of gold because of how the monetary system worked. And so today, I mean, we look around, there's a couple hundred of us here. Compared to America, nobody owns gold. I mean, I get questions all the time about, okay, but how do I buy gold or silver? Like, is the stock market, like, is it an ETF? It's like, most people wouldn't even be able to buy gold or silver if they wanted to. Wow. From a population perspective. I know that's, not familiar here, but most people do not own any precious metals. So it wouldn't be worth the cost of the paperwork for the government to try and outlaw the ownership of gold or silver, let alone try and confiscate it. And go door to door, and then find it in your walls or in your second or third safe because you have a little bit in your first safe, so that you can open that up and let them have that. And the rest of it got lost in a boating accident anyway. So
It's tragic.
Yeah.
It was a tragic boating
Short
accident.
the insurance companies.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. So no, I don't think it would be worth the cost. They would not get enough to make it worth their time. There's just not enough held in citizens' hands in the United States.
Fine.
Hey, my name is Matt. So David Morgan, he would say, one of his catchphrases, there's nothing more powerful than the truth. So what is something that is most true for each one of you guys that you could share with us? Share some truth.
Jesse, you get to go first.
Yeah, here's what I know. It's not what I think or what I feel, so I can share with you a proverb because I know that's true, and there's nothing I can say. It's just me. Yet Proverbs 22 verse 3 says that a prudent man foreseeth evil and hideth himself, and the simpleton passes by and is punished. We've all been the simpleton, and in this room, we're looking to be prudent right now and prepared in these next few decisions that we make as these years go that are big moves with our money are very important, and this is not a time to be simple-minded. Time is of the essence. It is going to be coming closer to the opportunities that we're all kind of in here looking for, and being a prudent person right now and foresee the danger in front of you that is being talked about. And when it says hide yourself, it's not saying to cower in fear. It's to you're listening, you're watching, your head's down, you're being diligent, you're working on your side hustles, you're working if it's channels for me, and you're doing a great work with what you have in your hand right now. That's prudent. Take care of what you're doing. Husbandry. Care for what you're entrusted with. That's how I'll answer that. Yeah? Come on.
Who's next?
I've spoken with quite a few of you already this weekend, and there's one common theme that has popped up pretty much every time, where there's something that you know or you think you should do, but you feel like you don't have the correct information to move forward with that decision, or you're fearful about what what potential negative outcome may be as a result of moving forward with that. And I would say that number one, you'll never know if you made the right decision or the wrong decision because you can't go back in time and repeat it by making a different decision. Who knows if you would have done the opposite and gotten hit by a bus as a result. It's not possible to know what the outcome would have been from the other decision, and therefore you can't know whether you're going to make the right decision. So that question should never be entering your mind because it's an unanswerable question. The second thing is when you find yourself looking for information about that will help you make a decision on whether you should do something or not, you always have to have that automatically throw up a red flag and ask, am I actually seeking justification? Am I looking for somebody else to tell me I need to do it? Because if that's the case, number one, you already know that you need to do it. And number two, you may be looking for somebody in the back of your mind to blame if it doesn't work out. And so my encouragement, my challenge to you would be, if that's, like I said, I've spoken with quite a few of you that there's something that you were trying to move forward with and you were potentially scared to move forward with it, is you have to do it. There's a reason why you think you should, and you'll never know what the other result would be. So do it. You already know you should.
That's good.
All right, I'll hit the hot button topic of my channel in the last month and a half with the Maui fires. I believe that there are good-hearted people that want to share the truth around the nation and identify and expose conspiracies. But those people have been demonized truth tellers by fact checkers, and there is additional conspiracy theories that are just crazy. They're not true. And I did that video about Maui and how that was an absolutely normal fire, and it was not started by a laser that came from a satellite. I actually know a little bit about those type of lasers and what they do and their power and what they look like, how they work. But I've been on a lot of fires that do that exact same thing, the melting of the aluminum engine blocks and stuff, and a lot of people on the media, and it was really social media that ran with those because they knew they were gonna get millions of views and hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And I did a verbal video that I knew was gonna get bashed and just get worked over. And it was good because I did it on purpose to call a certain type of person that's watching this channel. I said, I'll go on any YouTube channel, but it has to be live. Bring me every photo, every piece of video, and I will knock down every theory you have. That is how a real firestorm actually works. I've been on a handful in my career. And if you read the comments, it's really interesting because people were losing their minds. They're always looking for something that the government is trying to do. And this is what you need to understand. A lot of those comments are computers. And a lot of people, because faith comes by hearing, and they don't want to be, they want to be in the crowd. That makes you feel safe. It feels uncomfortable to be outside of it and be speaking up. But everything they did, from the way they blocked those roads, was completely right. To the way they put up fences to keep people away from looting and disturbing grave sites. It was all right. That's how we do things. And then I just saw an F-35 and a crash site, and I've been on crash sites. It's weird that brown grass didn't burn. But people can't figure out why a green tree or a rose bush doesn't burn next to a structure. It's because one has fuel moisture and one doesn't. Or why Oprah's house didn't burn. It's because nobody was parked right next to her house with another house, and she didn't have her windows open because she had air conditioning. Maui and Lahaina was ready to burn. I talked about it 20 years ago. The guys, everybody that's been there, we all know it was ready to burn. It's crazy that people are focusing on that, and it makes the truth tellers look dangerous. How many people were following Q drops when they first started coming out? Show me your hands. Anybody? All right. Do you guys remember the one about McCain? Anybody? About McCain. One dropped about McCain 2 days before that he was going to pass away. They gave the date and time. Not many people remember that one. I do, because I watched it in real time. Well, somebody saw it, okay? I told my guys at the fire station, because I like shocking everyone. I try and shock you to where I try and get you to challenge me that it's not true. And I always do it with truth. And I told them all. And then 2 days later, they had no answers for when, and they gave the time, and his death was announced 3 hours after. That is why people were panicking. Who in the heck was that? I have no clue. But I was watching a lot of that stuff come to pass, but then it was getting distorted by computers and bots and things like that. That, I think, is the most destructive thing. I'm going to be honest with you. I believe we landed on the moon. I don't believe it was in a warehouse. I don't. I don't believe in flat earth, but think about just those theories that people died for. Remember when Columbus had to risk his own life to even try and prove the theory that the globe was around? And so that's what divides people, the dumbest things ever. And so I think that's what's scary to me. And in 2024, with AI and the ability to fake video, and how, I'm going to be honest with you, dumb most of our population has become, because they become programmed through a frequency, through our televisions, our phones, things like that. That is what frightens me. But here's what doesn't. That question about the gold. You are part of the elite. Like Joe said, there's so few people that have it, you don't have to worry about it. Because it's you, governments, and very wealthy people that run the governments. They don't care, because they know how much more damaging it would be to go out on the news and say, it's illegal to own gold. And the people go, what? You know what I'm saying? It'd be like, then there's going to be pitchforks. And they know that. They don't mind. I've talked to billionaires that go, you get the plan, you understand it. And this one was not a good person. And but we're not a threat to them until we get big. And that's what they're always watching for. So hope that's a good answer. Thanks.
I hate following Ninja.
Okay, I got one more, then we'll wrap it up.
Hook. All right. Oh.
Jack?
For a
Okay,
second
Jack.
there, I
Jack.
thought I was off the hook.
Jack,
All right.
sorry, go. They were
Almost
going to
got away
kill
with
me.
it.
Do you see that? They're yelling at me back there. Jack, Jack, Jack.
So I come to these events for a couple of reasons. Number one, I have a great time. These are really fun. Another reason I come out here, obviously, to grow my channel and to gain more subscribers and to build up the brand. But also, all these conversations that I've had with so many of you, everybody who came up and said hi and talked about yourselves and your own lives and your own business that you're in. I love those conversations. I call it the mosaic when I come to these events, because you guys are from all over the country. And I find out what's going on in the tile business in Wisconsin, what's going on with police in LA, firefighters in Texas, and you get this snapshot of what's happening in businesses, in the economy around the country, and patterns emerge, and it's fertile soil for future content and for videos, which we've just gone over is really hard for some of us. But I had the pleasure last night, I had a conversation with one of you guys who's here. I promised him I'd keep it off the record and everything, so I won't go into too detail, but it was a very humbling experience because this man has accomplished a lot in his life, incredibly successful, and to hear that he looks forward to watching me every day was very humbling. It was a really good feeling, and he shared a pretty remarkable piece of wisdom with me over that conversation, and I'm going to share it with you now. He used a baseball field metaphor. He said, look for the gap in the field. There's going to be that spot. Maybe there's a big gap in left center or right field, or shortstop's playing too far to the left, fill in on the right. Find that gap in the field, because sooner or later a ball's going to get hit there, and you're going to be there ready to field that play that nobody else saw coming, and you will be the most in-demand, most sought-after, most valuable player on that field in that moment. And he applied that philosophy, and I had asked him, what was the moment in your life, if you had to pick that moment, that put you there? And he described the scenario. I won't go into details, but that was the metaphor he used. He found that gap in the field where he knew it was just a matter of time before the ball was hit there, and he pre-positioned himself to be there when it happened, and it propelled him on to great things. And I can tell you that guy has done some very important work over these last few days and these last few weeks that a lot of you probably don't know about, but it has been for your benefit. And just amazing. Thank you all for everything that you guys have given me with this event and sharing your stories with me. It really is a big value to me, and that's all.
We'll get one more. Can you guys pass it back to her?
Hi. So I'm a college student, and I am sitting here, and I literally have no idea where to start. I talked to my dad, and he was like, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and he has all these plans too. But I want, going back into my college and telling my friends, oh my gosh, I learned all about this stuff. I don't even know where to begin to even tell them about this, or start, or I know a lot of business majors, and we talk about this stuff, and I'm in science, so we talk about science stuff. It's we're all trying to figure out our careers, right? But how do we even start with the economics and investing, and we have no money, so where do we even begin with that? So I guess my question would be what's your biggest advice for young adults?
What is your guys' advice for young adults? They're in college, trying to figure out what to do, how to set themselves up for their families. What's your advice for the college students?
Tell them to stand with Ukraine.
Can I give some?
Jack, go ahead, Jack.
I watched a video today. I went and checked out Simon's channel, The Uneducated Economist, and he did a video, and I was cracking up laughing the whole time because I identified so much with that. He was talking about driving a beater car and how he's been driving beaters. His 1999 Ford broke down, and it's all right. He drove his 1990 something else instead. And he talked about all the money that he saved over the years, payments, insurance, everything. And you don't have to drive a beater car if you don't want to. I've driven beaters for a long time. My 98 Tacoma finally died a year ago, and it was 2 years ago, right before car prices skyrocketed. It was a blessing in disguise. But don't fall into that trap of going on the hamster wheel of 9 to 5, and then every paycheck you get, you just pour it into some crap that you don't need, but you're buying it because somebody else has it and you want it. You don't know why. You just want it out of envy. We do that with nice cars. We do that with nice clothes, watches, everything. It puts us on that debt pipeline and that trap of credit card debt and the indentured servitude that you're going to land in with that keep up the Joneses nonsense. And that's why I end every video with live small and dream big, because a little bit of self-imposed austerity, and then all of a sudden you do have that little bit of money to invest. And it's not going to be 10 grand all at once. It's going to be a couple of bucks. And you can invest by going to a yard sale or going to a thrift shop and finding that hidden treasure that you can go flip on eBay and turn 10 bucks into 100, and now you've got 100 to invest. And little incremental changes. You're not going to get there all at once. Don't see the enormity of the problem and just say, I'll never get there, and give up and fall into that debt trap and just work for a paycheck for the rest of your life. Incremental changes, small victories is how you get there.
I don't remember who he was working for when he was asked this, but Lee Iacocca, he was working in the auto industry. They were asking him why he hires a certain way, the type of person, the mentality, because the company was taking off. And he said, we hire college graduates. They said, why? And this was rare back then, and for lots of levels, because college graduates back then were at the higher levels of management upwards. He said, because they understand one thing that everyone else doesn't, and that's the importance of long-term goal setting. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't mean to make you feel weird, because both my kids are in college. College is not built to make you rich. College is built to put you at middle management, starting and then going up from there. You have to choose which way you go. But the cool thing is you're going to have both worlds if you choose this one other side, and that is, I am not going to be an employee. I will either become an employer or I will be an employee at one of the highest levels of the company because I set a goal to finish school. I don't have that. I wish I did, honestly, just because it would have opened doors. I couldn't become a captain in a fire department because I don't have a college degree, but they hired a guy with 0 fire experience because he had a college degree. How do you think that's going? Not well. But he got the job. And so what I want to encourage people is understand this school system is not intended, your economics class does not teach you what's going to be on any of our stuff. Because the banks know that doesn't make a good slave, honestly. So take your accomplishments as a young person finishing your degree, be very proud of it, and then build on it. And know this, you have to invest in yourself. Your job will not teach you how to be rich. Like Jack says, don't get over leveraged and invest in yourself and be diversified and go crush it. And you're gonna do one thing that 99 other college students do not do. And you're gonna care about your money so much that you're gonna manage it yourself. That's what I would say.
That's right. I resonate with this question, not because I'm in college any longer. Yet, when you're in university, and I can remember the foolishness to this day, yet it was so wonderful at the time. I could walk into Student Financial Services and with a signature at 19 years old, take 10 grand in a loan. Like that. And I found myself every semester, I'm like, this is easy. This is easy. All right? So now that's simple-minded. You've been given some wisdom. And right now you're asking a question, where do you start when you have very little to nothing in your hand? I, too, have made hundreds of thousands of dollars and gone all the way to zero, and I had to start with just this. And this is going to sound super dumb, and I did it. I remember exactly where I was, and I have one with me today. I went and purchased 2 silver dimes, and it sounds really, who's heard the 2 silver dimes deal?
I have.
Ninja has. And he said, just go buy 2 silver dimes. And I can remember when I was starting as an established man, and I didn't have much, and I started right there. And from there, it went up for me. So at 42 or 43 when I started, this was like a new shift for me. So to encourage you, young woman, that will have great power, start with what you have in your hand, hustle a little. I used to shine shoes in college. In my dorm, I would go collect shoes. One of my roommates, Nathaniel, is not here tonight. He's been here this week. He lived with me when we did it. So that's how you do it for right now. And then every little bit from there, you will build and you will succeed, period. That's what I was saying.
All right, so I'm going to answer this the way that I would answer this question coming from my kids. So it may not be the right answer for everybody, but this is the way that I think is probably the least risk path forward in this coming world. Okay, so number one, you can never save your way to wealth, and it's possible to outspend any income.
Come on.
So there are 2 camps. Some people say, save as much as possible, don't spend anything, and that'll make you rich. Some people say, all you got to do is earn more money, but you actually need both. Because if you make 30 grand a year, you're probably not going to have anything left over to be able to save. If you make 3 million a year, it's still easy to spend it all. And so you have to look at the difference between the two. That's all that matters, is the difference. What is the difference between what I make and what I spend? Not a percentage, but the dollar amount. Get that difference as big as possible. in dollar terms, not in percentage terms. So that's the number one goal. So then how do you do that as a college student, college graduate? Number one, a job is for learning. That's it. Never, ever, ever take a job for money, because that's a hard thing to escape. So any job that you ever get, look at it as, what am I going to learn from this that I can use later? In my 5 years as a stockbroker, I did multiple jobs that were very different from each other, and I found that the most useful skill that I learned during that was sales. I think that is probably one of the most valuable skills that can apply to literally anything and help you be able to make large amounts of money doing in really any industry. Once you have multiple complementary skills, you can use those to create a business. So something like very clear communication might be enough to make a good amount of money as a waiter. But you can't start a restaurant with that. So you need another skill other than communication. Maybe you also need sales. Maybe you also need team management. Maybe you also need hiring. So you get a couple high-value skills that can be put together. They compound on each other. They don't add to each other. They multiply. They're bigger than the sum of their parts. And then finally, the frame of mind that I would want you to have going forward is always that the way to make more money is to make something that somebody else wants badly enough that they're willing to give you the amount of money you want for it. So for most people, sadly, their entire life, the only thing that they have to give that somebody else is willing to pay for is their time. Your time is the most valuable thing that you will ever have, and it is the most replaceable thing for other people. Because an employer can hire anybody if the only thing they need is time. But your time you'll never get back. So you have to learn how to create things other than time that people want badly enough to pay you for them. That could be products, that could be services, that could be any other skill. But stacking those things together and ultimately don't denominate your earnings in time will allow you to create that difference that I talked about at the beginning between what you save and what you spend.
Bro, that was awesome. That was perfect. That was awesome.
Well, guys, we are nearing the end of our time. It is 6 o'clock, 6:05 on a Friday, or what a day is it? Sunday. I'm tired. It's been a long 3 days. I've been here since Wednesday preparing for this event. And I just wanted to thank you guys all for coming, really from the bottom of my heart. Guys, Ninja, Jesse, Joe, Jack, where is Uneducated Economists? He's outside probably, but you guys all that came and contributed to this event, all you panelists, speakers, all the companies that came, all the people that helped with the event, thank you so much. We just really appreciate that you guys came. And what I want to tell you is all of the content that we've been recording here, we are going to be giving this to you guys. So what we're going to work on is, this has been part of the event. Thank you. In years past, it was, are we going to sell the content to people? No, that's not what we're doing. You guys have already bought and paid for this event. So we have all your emails. We will get that figured out. We'll probably in the next couple of weeks get all the content out. We'll make sure that we get all the influencers their content so they can post what they need. But this will be available for you guys. The idea is if there's something here that inspired you, something here that was thought-provoking, bring your friends over, have a pizza pie, and watch the video again, right? Yeah. Play one of Economic Ninja's videos.
Don't.
Hey, you want to explain to them CBDCs? Uneducated economists will tell you about the Kientz line effect and how the people who get the money first are the ones to win. You want to hear what's going on about what's really happening in China and how it's going to affect our commercial mortgages and maybe what properties may be for sale? Watch Jack. You want to figure out what the hell is happening anywhere in the world? You watch Joe, right? He always figures it out for you because he breaks it down in a way that you can digest. And there are just some days where you're having a rough day. And Jesse's the guy that I call, right? And I'm lucky where I get to call him instead of having to wait for his videos to come out. But the reality is, there are a lot of us out here who can benefit each other. So I want to end it with saying, first of all, thank all of you so much for coming and being part of this event and just being a blessing to us, because without you guys here, we'd just be talking to nobody, right? So the reality is, without you guys coming, supporting us, and being the best part of Ninja Nation and all of our communities together, like, we'd have no show. This would be nothing. They wouldn't have no one to do this for. You know, the whole reason they do it is because I don't think their wives want to listen to them anymore, right?
Does that happen to you guys too?
Yeah.
You see? It's real. It's real, right?
Yeah.
So for you guys, if you have any questions that we didn't get answered today, please make sure, follow these guys. Like, share, subscribe, okay? It's really, really simple. And if you don't know who I am, I'm with StockPulse. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Patrick Hakeem 21M. It's really important that you all follow me. It's the...
You're killing
Trust
it. I love it.
Patrick.
It's actually it's almost the most important thing that we've...
He's
was
trying to
whining
go
like,
live.
I'm horrible at this.
I do, I
hate
hate-
this. I'm like, you're killing it, dude. You're crushing it.
Ninja doesn't know that this has really worked for me. It's hard.
Patrick, everybody.
So guys, honestly, thank you for coming. We'll see you next time.
Awesome job, buddy. God bless.